Hi everyone, welcome to my channel where I review the latest movies and documentaries. Today, I'm going to talk about Shooter. If you're interested in this topic, make sure to watch this video until the end, and subscribe to my channel for more content like this. At the beginning of the story, we are shown a very famous US military officer, who was sitting with his sniper to kill the enemies passing by. Very easily kills a person by shooting from miles away. From here the US military vehicles move ahead. As soon as they left, the entire enemy army had arrived here. These people had started shooting at Bob and his partner. They try to contact Bob and also the FBI, so that they can be taken to the cell here. But along with that Miller, the FBI people also betrayed them and end all their contacts with them. Now both of them are left alone here, who had to handle everything themselves. Bob was killing his enemies by firing bullets, but then an enemy helicopter comes overhead, and one of them fires shells and kills Bob's partner. Shahid got angry after refusing his companion, and in such a situation, he blew up the enemy's helicopter. As soon as the helicopter landed, most of its enemies were killed, but the rest ran away in fear. While saving his life, Bob somehow returned to his boundaries, and 2 weeks after all this, he gets the news that the Zeiss officer had given him this mission. That officer has been killed, and after a few days Bob is also retired from his job. After which the scene is cut and we are shown the scene after 3 years. While Bob has started a new job, he no longer has any connection with the military, because the military and the FBI betrayed him by leaving him alone in enemy territory. But today, after 3 years, the US military colonel has come to meet him, who is telling him that the US Prime Minister is going to be attacked. After a few days, the Prime Minister will be speaking in different cities, and according to us, the murderer could be in one of those cities. We have also come to know that the attack will take place from miles away, and our security will not be able to cover such a long distance. We need you because you are a very good spy, and you will know where to shoot. No one can save the Prime Minister's life except you. But the board had decided that it would not trust any military man again. The colonel was at his house late in the morning. As soon as you got the chance, you took a picture of the engine of his car, so that he could know about them, or many taps again told him that only you can save this country. If the Prime Minister dies, there will be a lot of grief in this country, for which you will be responsible. Now after hearing all these things, Bob goes to Ma and goes to the Three Lions, and watches the spots of the Prime Minister's speech. He notices where the Prime Minister can be killed, and finally he comes to know that the Prime Minister will be killed at a place called Philadelphia, because there was a shooting point there. They give all the reports to the colonel, and the colonel now tells them that we want to catch that shooter alive. It would be good if you support us further. Here also Bob agrees with him. At last the day of the speech had arrived. He was constantly on the way to the colonel. When a point came, he told the colonel that now was the time to fire at the Prime Minister. Send security guards here quickly. But surprisingly the colonel had not sent any security there. Just then the sound of gunshot is heard, and it is shown that a white Ethiopian was killed here while saving the Prime Minister. There is commotion everywhere and we see that a police officer standing at a distance shoots Bob with 2 bullets. But Bob still saves himself and somehow tries to escape from there. Here the colonel and his agents tell the FBI and the police that Bob is the real shooter who was trying to kill the Prime Minister. This was a lie to trap Bob. They throw the gun they had brought from Bob's house at the shooting point. At first even Box could not understand what happened to him, and then he realizes that the colonel has trapped him. There was no going to be any attack on the Prime Minister. They wanted to get this Safar of Ethiopia killed. They did this work and they did all this on Bob, so that no case could be filed against him. The shadow military start searching for Bob. Helicopters, cars, everything went after Bob, and an FBI came here to save Bob himself. He steals the agent's gun and car and runs away to save his life. While leaving, he told the FBI agent that he did not kill the journey to Ethiopia. There is a giant hand in it. Now Bob's condition was very bad. He does not go to any hospital to save himself because if he gets caught there, he goes to a local store. From there, he takes some bandage material, as well as common things like Chinese dab, uses them, goes to the washroom, and gives himself an energy drip, and then somehow manages to escape, and reaches the house of a girl named Sire. It was his partner's wife who was killed along with him in the fight shown at the beginning of the story. He tells Sahara that your husband told me that you are a nurse, you can help me. Please help me, treat me. Now it is shown that FBI agent Manfisco, with whose car and gun Bob had fled, was trying to kill the Prime Minister. According to his knowledge, Bob was trying to kill the Prime Minister, but by mistake the bullet hit Ethiopia's journey. He sees the entire footage of the murder here, and says that this is not Bob's work. He tells everyone that Bob is a very sharp shooter who does not miss his target from miles away. How did he miss his target by a few meters? According to him, there is some conspiracy going on here, because many people had also told him that Colonel Isaac had introduced him to the trip to Ethiopia, so now he must be following Bob's words somewhere. He was convinced, and to find out this, he wanted to catch the inspector who had fired at Bob to catch him. But he comes to know that the inspector has been killed by the dacoits, and after knowing this news, his suspicion turns into belief that it is all a conspiracy to implicate Bob, because at the end all the evidence is being destroyed. Here it is shown that Sarah had fired the bullets from his body. 2.5 days later, Bob regains consciousness where an FBI agent goes to the murder spot to investigate the main face case, and he learns that Ethiopia's journey has been killed with ice gun. He is shown to be a dirty person who has now met Sarah, who had invited him to a hotel at Bob's request. Sarah gives the number of the engine of the Manfisco Canal train whose photo Bob took from outside his house. When Manfis was trying to trace this vehicle, it also reached the news because he also had access to the entire system of FBI. He was in danger of getting trapped. That's why Colonel Manfisco gets kidnapped. He wanted to destroy all the evidence against himself by killing Manfiski. But this news comes to the notice of Bob on the other side. Bob knew that I was investigating on his behalf. This is the reason why he had come so far to save her. He saves Manfis by shooting everyone with his gun, and brings him to a gun expert right now. He asks 2 questions to this expert. First, who is the best shooter in the world? But the first thing this man was saying was Bob's name. He did not know that Bob was also sitting in front of him. Bob then asks him the name of the second shooter, and the second one asks the question whether one bullet can be fired twice. This man says yes. By using paper, one bullet can be shot from 2 different places. So I was asking the question now because the white Ethiopian had died of color. Bob had fired that bullet on the Ethiopian box while practicing a few days ago. This guy had the name's Ice Shop Shooter on the front of the box. Bob remembers that last May when he went to give information about the shooting of the colonel, the shooter was with the colonel. Here the colonel now comes to know about Syra, that she was the wife of a dead military officer, and she had helped him a lot, or had not even given Sarah all the information that Bob had. Gets kidnapped. It is shown that Bob is trying to catch the shooter. The day a bullet was actually fired on the colonel's instructions while on a trip to Ethiopia. He wanted to meet her and do something to save himself. He also trains the FBI agent he met with him to shoot, and then with full preparation people reach the shooter's house. Before going inside the house, they had also planted bombs around the house, because these people had also come to know about this, and had sent military officers to the shooter's house to catch them. Bob and Manface finally go inside his house and meet the shooter. When they ask, the shooter tells them why Canal wanted to kill Ethiopia's white. It is said that a US center wanted to lay a gas pipeline inside Ethiopia in a legal manner, and an entire village came in the path of that pipeline. To complete this illegal work, the US sanitized villages. All the people were killed, and this fact was actually known to the Ethiopian traveler who was going to attend the meeting that day. He was going to tell everyone this in his speech that day. That's why he is the Sanit who did this illegal work. He gives a lot of money to the colonel and gets Ethiopia case safe or killed. Pop had recorded everything told by the shooter. After telling all this, the man kills himself by shooting himself. Vehar comes in to arrest all the military officers. But both of them very bravely, after killing all the people with their guns, now by pressing a button they blow up this house also with a bomb, in which all the military officers who had come to arrest him were also killed. After which I-Face Chauhan understands that FBI calls him to give his location, so that the colonel gets to know his location. As soon as his FBI calls, the colonel calls Bob and Manfisco. Because the colonel had kidnapped Sarah and very much wanted to save Sarah, he found the colonel black. He makes them listen to all the recordings of the shooter against them, and says that if you want to achieve this, then take Sarah to the location given by him. The scene is cut to show that the senator and the colonel had come to meet them in a snowy area. It is shown that the colonel had called sharpshooters here who would have killed Bob. You also knew this. That's why he sends the main face here in his place. This shooter opens fire on Manfis, and as soon as he gets the chance from behind, he kills these 3 shooters who had actually come to kill him. It is said that Manfispik is alive despite being hit by shells because he had protective shields all over his body. Here, there was a sword in the hands of the man who had held him captive. He also shoots him and cuts off his hand. He was doing all this from a very long distance. China's stumble is shown that FBI officers receive a letter sent by Man-Face, in which his location was given. The FBI people come here without any time in their helicopters. Here Bob had evidence against the US sanitized and the colonel. He could have got them arrested but did not get them arrested, because if this evidence was revealed to the world, then there would have been a war between the US and Ethiopia, and many innocent people would have lost their lives. He hands himself over to the FBI. After that we are shown Bob in court. Colonel, senior officer of FBI and Jazz were present here. Judge Farmer also keeps Bob's gun here. According to the colonel, he wanted to kill the Prime Minister with this gun. Here it is shown that he secretly gives a bullet of that type, as without wasting any time, he quickly puts it in his gun, points it towards the target, and presses the trigger. But the bullet does not fire, and here Bob explains that every time after shooting, he used to take out the mountain pin from inside his gun, and put a common iron rod there, due to which his gun could not shoot. This gun was confiscated from Bob from the murder spot itself. That means Bob could not make any changes on these buttons. He says that just like I had left this gun at my house, this gun was kept at that murder point, and after that it came to Gahan. And this is enough to prove my truth that my gun did not fire, nor did I shot. Yes, but I believe that the bullet that hit Safar of Ethiopia was from my gun. But she used the principle of paper punching, and it was fired from an organ. Hearing all this, senior officers of FBI, military people and judges, get jealous of her. After this he requests the court to take strict action to implicate him. Here the VI officer calls him the colonel because they did not commit all those crimes in our state. Because of this I cannot punish him, but it is not even a law of the forest. Such muharims do not open again, saying that they leave from there. He had understood that he was given a deer to kill the colonel by the senior officer of FI. After cutting the scene, we are now shown that they were doing the party of corrupt senators and colonels with great fun. He was planning to work further. Even then, Bob comes here and shoots these two. After doing all the work, she had taken her out and she saved her from here. That's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it and learned something new. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and leave a comment below. Let me know what you think about this movie and what other movies or documentaries you want me to review next. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more videos like this one. Thanks for watching and see you next time.